Drylands are important for the simple reason that they are so widespread. Across the globe, drylands make up about 40% of the Earth's land surface and are the home of some 2 billion people. Also in Europe, roughly a third of the territory and a quarter of the population are regularly exposed to scarcity of water. Drylands are important to people for various reasons. First, people use drylands for agricultural, grazing and forestry activities and thus directly depend in their livelihoods on the food and wood products that drylands provision. Second, drylands provide so-called regulatory services. For example, that rainfall does not run off over the land and causes sudden floods, but that it is retained by the vegetation and soils, and so that it ultimately becomes available to plants, animals and humans. Third, drylands provide all kinds of cultural services, such as sceneries for westerns or prime touristic destinations. Just think about the African savannas or the beaches of Spain or Crete. Finally, drylands are important from the point of view of nature conservation. Drylands comprise almost a third of the internationally recognized global biodiversity hotspots. Furthermore, drylands are the origin of about 30% of the cultivated plants. The Albatera mountain range in southeastern Spain comprises drylands that, even for drylands, are dry, receiving as little rainfall as 300 mm per year in an average year, and therefore are called semi-arid. In spite of being so dry, these lands have, in the past, somehow provided a livelihood to farmers, who cultivated rain-fed cereals and permanent crops, such as olives, in combination with extensive grazing by sheep and goat, as well as by wood gathering. In the past few decades, however, these Albatera drylands have increasingly become threatened by two trends that are opposite. Whilst large parts have become abandoned due to rural exodus to the coastal cities, other lands are now exploited in a more intensive manner, especially by intensive irrigation of crops in the lowlands. A common threat to the entire region is furthermore the increased drought foreseen under likely climate change scenarios. The Albatera mountain range is one of the areas where the CASCADE project will provide further insight in how threats such as overgrazing in the past affect European drylands, and in particular how sustainable land management practices can mitigate or revert these threats. The CASCADE project is studying the principal threats to a range of typical dryland ecosystems in southern Europe, ranging from pine forests and woodlands to shrublands and grasslands and irrigated agricultural fields. These threats include repeated wildfires and various forms of mismanagement, such as overgrazing and over-irrigation. Increased drought due to climate change is envisaged to aggravate the impacts of these threats in the future. Therefore, CASCADE will study how different degradation states of the selected ecosystems will respond to prolonged periods of droughts. To this end, so-called rainfall exclusion experiments will be carried out in the fields across a geographical gradient from north-central Portugal to Cyprus. CASCADE will improve the current scientific understanding of the response of European drylands to current and future threats. This improved understanding will permit that the likely degradation of these drylands and associated decline in their ecosystem services can be signaled at an earlier stage. Early signals are fundamental for sustainable land management, including because mitigation tends to be less costly than restoration. In more practical terms, the field experiments of CASCADE will increase the much-needed exchange of knowledge and expertise between stakeholders and scientists. Why not check out the project website on the CASCADE study sites to see if there's any field trial running close to you or in your favorite dryland ecosystem.